My name is Ganesh. I'm the Chief Digital Officer, in fact, the first ever Chief Digital Officer at GE. I look after all of the GE power and electricity business and run the largest digital business in GE, which is Power Digital. So just till 3 years ago, I hadn't worked in the energy industry. I actually didn't know a lot about energy. But I think over the last 3 years, I've learned to fall in love with the purpose of energy. In fact, if you look back in Silicon Valley, we talked to many leaders, they would tell you there's only a few things that you really want to work on in the world. The world's biggest problems are things like poverty, things like health, things like gender parity, as well as energy and education. So I would say one of our purposes is to bring access to power to 1.2 billion people in the world that don't have access to power. I remember when I was a kid in India, we would have power blackouts all the time. And I had to go schedule my homework and studying time around when power was going to be available, or when power went out, I'm running around the entire city trying to figure out who's got power and where can I go and sit and study. So it's something we take for granted, but it still is a challenge. But when you think about things like decarbonization and also the future of smart cities, I think power producers, utilities, energy service providers have a huge role to play. And it's something people can learn to fall in love with when you think about providing sustainable access to every single citizen on the planet. I think my biggest influences and mentors are my parents. My mom was a school teacher. She taught me how to stay curious and stay learning. My dad had to drop out of school, and my grandfather passed away, and he had to support a big family. He taught me how to stay hungry and optimistic because he had to figure it out. So I think that's the recipe, which is stay curious, learning, hungry, and have an optimistic view that you can figure it out. So one of the biggest things that we're doing at GE is this digital transformation. Probably the biggest digital transformation in the world in a 125-year-old company. But when you hear it from our customers, it's interesting, 80% of our customers think that this industry of electricity will be radically transformed using software over the next 10 years. We think they're wrong. It may actually happen faster. So our biggest initiative, biggest challenge or opportunity is to help every one of our customers connect every single asset, every single industrial worker and their business processes digitally and have a digital operation and help them reimagine their business model. To that, I think this building that we're in, GE Digital, it's probably the biggest initiative we have, and continuously creating innovation around software or platforms, applications, and new analytics. Simply put, over the next few years, we want to eliminate unplanned downtime, period, from the energy industry. That means a ton of innovation in machine learning, AI, and analytics in our software, which is what we're doing. So power producers and utilities have a unique opportunity. Today, they see their customers as a meter. And these consumers of electricity are actually becoming producers of electricity. In fact, electrification needs to move from being just a power supplier to being the platform for electrification and societal change. Think about smart cities. Think about connected homes. Think about transportation when that's autonomous and electrified. So consumers would want to interact with someone who can connect all their experiences together. And that really is the opportunity for many utilities. See, there's a stat that says about over the next 5 years, 25% of people who work in power and utilities in North America will retire. And over the next 10 years, there's going to be about 3 million new jobs at the intersection of software and electricity. That means we have to attract a new generation of talent, a new generation of talent that wants to work in a digitally native workplace and also wants to work on the latest, greatest thing. At GE, this is what we did. Software developers, for example, want to work on the latest, greatest thing, which means cloud, big data, mobile, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all we've given them is all those same opportunities that every high-tech company would give them, but allow them to go deeper into a particular industry with a purpose. It is so easy to fall in love, just like I did, with energy and say, there's a bigger purpose in the world, and now if you can combine cool with purpose, you can actually attract talent. And I think there is an angle there where we can actually attract a future generation of young talent to come and work in a digitally native workplace. That means every power producer and utility in the world has to think about their work environment, how work gets done, and transform that digitally. And that's when young and great talent will come and work in the industry. See, the energy industry actually in the last decade has probably been pushed, tested, and challenged with a 100-year-old business model. And you hear religious arguments about a different source of power, whether it's, everything has to be clean power, 100% clean. Everybody wants that. But people also want access to energy. So if you really think about decentralization, decarbonization, any one of these trends that's happening, we think the biggest barrier to all of these goals being accomplished is how backwards the industry is in terms of adopting digital technologies. It's one of the least digitally mature industries, yet with the biggest opportunity. So I think a leap of faith by leaders to adopt and drive digital technologies is what's the biggest barrier that's holding progress in the industry. So the World Economic Forum did a study on the impact of digital transformation in various industries. And they concluded in the electricity industry over the next 10 years, there's about $1.3 trillion of value for power and utilities across the world. And that's value accessible to every company in the world, but the societal benefits actually outweigh it. It's $2 trillion. It's everything from decarbonizing the world, creating new jobs, like I talked about, 3 million new jobs at the intersection of electricity and software. And when a world gets more access to power, which is the foundation of economy, if you could say all of the 21st century was built on the back of the electricity grid. That is the foundation of economy, and the last 15 years was the foundation of the digital economy is the internet. These two things are coming together. So we think it's a whole new innovation that's possible, and also to give access to more citizens in the world to create more innovation and growth in the economy.